You don't have to be charismatic to be inspiring. Everyone can inspire. You inspire when you model great behavior, including humility.
If you want to inspire people to build a boat, you impress them with the ocean, right? You make them want to go out to sea.
Even if your company isn't necessarily looking to expand, it would do you a great service to understand, well, if they do one day, what do I need to know?
Welcome to the Payroll Podcast, the show that explores the latest insights and innovations in the world of payroll. Some four short, sharp questions for you, Jim. The first is this: one piece of advice you would give to someone working in payroll right now.
Keep your eyes open. I think opportunities are going to come fast and furious in the next few years. I think with embedded payroll, you're going to see a lot of companies either doing direct payroll for themselves, where they're going to need somebody to run that, to be accurate, to stay on top of things. And then I think companies that are those SaaS platforms that are embedding payroll, they're going to need leaders on their team, right? Because they're becoming payroll businesses, right? So I think we're going to see more payroll businesses. I think there's just going to be an absolute ton of opportunity out there for folks that are interested in implementation, tax notice resolution, taxes in general, just moving money and confirming that. Risk, if you want to tie that to payroll, I think that's also a huge opportunity. You know, the better technology comes, you know, the more fraudsters appear. So I think that's a huge area as well. So anybody working in payroll right now, I mean, I think that the opportunities are going to be there. Just keep your eyes open.
Couldn't agree more. Obviously, music to my ears as a payroll recruiter as well, because more opportunities mean there's going to be, it's a good thing because automation scares people. There's been a lot of studies that payroll is one of the roles that's going to be fully automated. Part of the payroll process is going to be, that's the nature of the world, but actually it's creating, this new technology is creating so many new opportunities. As we mentioned, the 60 plus roles available out there now that we've identified, there'll be more to come as well. So I think it's really exciting, and I couldn't agree more with that answer. Question 2, if you had the power of foresight and you could change the entire payroll industry with one action or one improvement, what would that action or improvement be?
Oof, that's a big question, Nick. I think I'll go back to, I would love to, in general, see a reduction of notices. I think that companies, for the most part, want to do things that are on the level. I think that there's too much bureaucracy behind these notices getting sent out. I think they're a massive waste of time. I'd love to see companies given the benefit of the doubt, you know, that they're out there in the economy, growing the world and paying people. And, you know, tax notices, you know, you're 5 minutes late with this deposit or whatever it is. I would love to see those largely go away, because I think they create bigger problems and waste more time than needed.
Yeah, agreed. Question 3, I'm a school leaver and I've come to you, Jim, because I've seen you're really passionate about what you do, but I'm unsure about what to do with my next step. I'm unsure what career path to take. How would you sell payroll as a career opportunity for someone who is unsure about what they want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly show them your study of the 60 opportunities. I think that's amazing. I think that's one way to excite people. But I'll go back to the old, you know, kind of the old adage. If you want to inspire people to build a boat, you know, you make them want to, you know, you impress them with the ocean, right? You make them want to go out to sea, and then they'll build a boat as a result. I think if I were talking to somebody about payroll, I think I would talk about, you know, it connects all of us as people. We all need to be paid. We're always going to need to be paid, and I would try to inspire them with all of the special moments and stories and existence that is, you know, dependent on payroll, and I would try to inspire them that way.
Yeah, nice. Well, I think it takes us right back to the start of the podcast where you said it's the lifeblood, right? Without payroll, you're connecting and impacting. That's probably a better word. You're impacting every single employee that you are responsible for paying, and the way that they live their lives and what they choose to do and how they choose to spend their money, which I think is really exciting. So I think you put that really well at the start of the show. And last but not least, a bit of fun. If payroll were a song, I don't know if you're a musician or if you're into music, but let's find out. What would it be and why?
If payroll were a song, Walking on Sunshine.
There you go. There's the passion coming through. Love it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I was hoping you were going to ask me if payroll were a movie, what movie would it be?
Well, you can answer that one too. Go on. We're here now. Go for it.
I was going to say Men in Black, because it's happening behind the scenes. There's this whole world that, folks don't know about. And anytime there's a disaster, they're there to clean it up and fix it and delete everyone's memory. And they're just, they go on with their lives.
Very nice. Yeah, I used to ask payroll a song or a movie. I took that bit out and caught you off guard. There you go. But it's a great response nonetheless. What's the next big thing then, with everything you've said today, to bring it full circle? What's the next big thing in the world of HR learning and development that everyone should really be considering and thinking about now?
It's this. It's inspiration. Inspiration is the new engagement. It's the next level. It's the next frontier. Now, look, I'm not downplaying engagement. The whole focus on engagement is the right focus. And we want to build, high trust, fully engaged cultures. And there's the gap in engagement is extraordinary still everywhere. So seeking to build a highly engaged team and culture still is holy grail. But there's another frontier beyond that, and that's inspiration. A study from Bain shows this, that inspired employees are 56% more productive than engaged employees.
Wow. Okay.
There's another frontier. Inspiration is a new engagement. And here's what I want to say is that everyone can inspire. It is a learnable skill. And the big thing I'm trying to make, the main point I'm trying to make here is this, is I want to separate inspiration from being charismatic. Sometimes people think, well, the inspiring person is the charismatic person. That may or may not be true. I know a lot of people who are not charismatic at all, who are very inspiring because of who they are, how they lead, how they extend trust, and how they embed and imbue and create purpose into everything that they do. And it is very inspiring, even though they're not, quote, charismatic. And so you don't have to be charismatic to be inspiring. Everyone can inspire. You inspire when you model great behavior, including humility. There's a study from LRN that shows that people that are humble are 18 times more likely to inspire their people, the people around them. So you inspire through your modeling. You inspire when you trust people. To be trusted is the most inspiring form of human motivation. It brings out the very best in all of us. And so everyone can be trusting and learn to be trusting in smart ways. That inspires people. But you also inspire when you connect with people through your caring and through creating a sense of belonging. And when you also connect to purpose, to meaning, and to contribution, and you try to embed any role and any organization with purpose, meaning, and contribution. And you can do that. And when you connect with people and connect to purpose, that inspires. And so my main point is inspiring is a learnable competency, just like trust is. And we can get good at inspiring. And inspiration is the new frontier. It's where it's going. And that if we can build high trust cultures that not only engage people, that inspire people, we will best win that war for talent and innovate in the marketplace. And that will keep us relevant.
We can get better at finding it as well. I mean, inspiration can be found in so many places, from the up campaign, just looking up when you're outdoors, to coming out of bounce back abilities, we say in the UK, but coming through adversity. I mean, I look at my brother who sadly lost his arm, and he's became disabled, having been right arm. He lost his right arm, and he's just had a prosthetic fitted. It's taken him 10 years, and he's an inspiration to me. I mean, to what he's gone through to get back up and keep working and be a parent. And we've got moms working from home, trying to juggle work and childcare and all these different things. And inspiration can be found in so many places that I couldn't agree more. It's a fantastic thing to be able to inspire others, but also to be able to find it in others as well.
I love it. And the example of your brother, that's inspiring. See, that's a form of modeling. And we need that. In a low trust world, we need models, and models can become mentors. And if we get enough of that working within an organization, you can transform that organization. Models becoming mentors. And so we've got to lead out with this, and everyone can inspire, and it's learnable. And that's what's needed today, is this inspiration. It's the new frontier. And so that's exciting, Nick. The last thing I want to just give one last point to all of our listeners and viewers, and that is simply this idea that for all of this kind of grandeur, thinking of how trust is so important, always remember that trust is created from the inside out. And it's very easy to kind of look out there and say, well, as soon as the boss changes, the CEO changes, or this person or that person, then we can build this kind of culture. And that kind of thinking is the problem. We've got to look inside out. We've got to look in the mirror. We've got to start with ourselves, because self-trust precedes relationship trust, which precedes team trust, which precedes organizational trust, which precedes market trust, which precedes societal trust. It's inside out. And I remember one time I gave a presentation. At the break, someone came up to me and said, Stephen, your presentation makes so much sense to me because it kind of gives me a way of viewing my problems in my career. And he said, look, I'm not happy with where I'm at. And my whole life, I've blamed everybody else. My first job, couldn't trust my boss. So I get another boss, can't trust him either. Go to another company, can't trust this boss, can't trust the leaders, can't trust the company. This has been my pattern. I go home into my community, can't trust my neighbor. He goes, I don't even trust my kids. And, he went on. And then he said, and then when you put up that metaphor that trust is built from the inside out, and showed the ripple effect where the drop of water comes down, the ripples, the waves, they start at the inside and they ripple out. Then I realized what my problem was. And then he looked around to make sure no one was looking. And very carefully, he whispered into my ear and said these words, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. And I realize now I'm projecting that distrust out onto everybody else. So what do I do? And I said, here's what I would do just to increase that self-trust. Start by making and keeping commitments to yourself in the little things. And the fastest way to build trust with another person is to make that person a commitment and to keep it. Make another commitment and keep it. Guess what? That's also the fastest way to make and build trust with yourself. Make and keep commitments to yourself. And you do that, and you go from one to another, and you'll begin to build a sense of integrity, of clarity, of power. And you build that self-trust from the inside out. And when you build that trust in yourself, it becomes easy, natural, and abundant to build trust with others and on relationships and on teams. It's inside out, always looking in the mirror, always starting with ourselves. I imagine that most people listening to this podcast are already saying, I've got high self-trust, but it remains the common denominator of the starting point for all of us. Always look in the mirror, always start with yourself, your credibility, your behavior. You do that well, and you will be the catalyst to create trust from the inside out. You will be that model who becomes the mentor, and you will be the ripple in the pond, and you'll build that trust from the inside out. That is the charge. That is the challenge to each and every one of us to get better, to become a catalyst for building high trust in a low trust world. We can do this. We need to bring about a renaissance of trust, Nick. There's too much distrust in our world, and we've got to bring about this renaissance of trust. And I challenge all of us, starting with you and I, Nick, and all our listeners and viewers on this podcast, to be a catalyst to bring about a renaissance of trust. It's what's needed today.
First question is this: one piece of advice you would give to someone working in payroll right now?
Don't be afraid to expand your horizons. Even if your company isn't necessarily looking to expand, it would do you a great service to understand, well, if they do one day, what do I need to know? So get yourself subscribed to the different associations that are globally minded for payroll professionals. Start reading some articles, connect on LinkedIn, because it's never too late, because you don't want to end up being in a position where suddenly tomorrow somebody says, make it happen and you don't know. So don't be afraid to start learning about it now, because the global expansion will not go away. Having workforce around the world is always going to be present, and it's going to continue to increase. So get prepared for it.
Super. Be prepared and don't be afraid to connect. Absolutely right. We've been connected ever since we met, right? The APA, and it's been a great, and it's amazing where these things can lead. Second question: if you had the power of foresight and you could change the entire global payroll industry with one action or one improvement, what would that action or improvement be?
Automating the filings systems around the world, getting away from physically handing documents that need to be stamped, because that increases visibility, accountability, and transparency when it comes to how governments operate. I think the UK has done a tremendous job, Ireland, Brazil, in terms of automating how they manage filings and submissions. I would love to see more and more countries move in that direction, particularly in exotic jurisdictions, because that then gives a lot more assurance to employers and companies operating in those jurisdictions that everything, they can see it, right? They can access a portal, they can submit a query, and it's right there. So that would be the one thing that I would want to change.
Nice. Now, well, I'm going to add a little add-on question then very quickly. Just in your experience, 160 plus countries at Atlas alone, what's the most complex country for you? What's the one where you comes in and you go, oh no, that's a complex one. We'll do it, but it's a toughie. I know some countries, I know even in some states, for example, in the US, I think is it Pennsylvania has 247 different types of legislation alone. But what's the most complex country for you?
So traditional, there's always the traditionals, right? People always say France, Brazil, Italy, those are the ones. And the reason for that is because there is a lot of different types of taxes, registration requirements, complexities around collective bargaining agreements. So those haven't changed for me. US 100% is a bit of a minefield sometimes, because I always tell people every state is like its own country. So how do you navigate that? But there's different levels of complexity for me. When I look at the management process, most African countries are a challenge because of sometimes lack of infrastructure or lack of clarity around tax rules. So that's complex in its own way. How do you manage and navigate that when things aren't necessarily like fully written out? And then there's, the France example, which is just lots of different taxes and requirements and things like that. So I would put it on a bit of like a spectrum in terms of what does complexity mean to you, right? Because the whole world is complex, but when you break it down, there's different reasons why certain jurisdictions are just complex.
I got to push you a little bit though. So I'm going to relocate. Yeah. What's the one country you do not? I know you're going to do my payroll. Where's the one place you do not want me to relocate to? Because it's just going to be a nightmare. Maybe it's Antarctica. We'll discover. Maybe
Antarctica. Yes.
There you go.
Because I don't know what to do there. Everywhere else, if you come to me, I'll give you insight.
All right.
I'll let you know what the text looks like. But you're absolutely right. What I don't know is Antarctica.
Perfect. We've come full circle. Love that. Love that. Well, listen, last question in the vault is if Payroll, a bit of fun. If Payroll was a song or a movie, what song or movie would it be and why?
Payroll, your song.
Yeah, I'll take that.
My payroll career.
That's it. Because we all love payroll, right? We love payroll. This is it.
Yeah, I am the biggest proponent of that song. So My Payroll Career by was it by Nick Day? Was it by you?
It's by me, yeah, Nick Day. That's me.
Written by Nick Day.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take that. It's the best answer anyone's ever given to that question. I should ask it more often. So first question is this: one piece of advice you would give to someone working in payroll right now?
It's purpose. I think there's the stuff I've talked about today. I think we're able to give people working in payroll a new purpose. So, moving from this back end admin function to something that's far more engaged into the employee experience. We've got customers at Zealous that are doing some really interesting things through pay. So through payroll, they're making decisions over earned wage access. And so allowing people to, again, their financial well-being to be protected or enhanced through decisions that are being made by payroll teams, not necessarily benefit teams, which is what used to happen. And so with those kind of things happening, if you can start to see the impact on people, I think that adds a lot of purpose to the payroll function and the individuals working with it. And purpose is really important to our own well-being. But I think it's a really powerful driver employee experience. I think anyone working in payroll who starts to understand more that there's a human at the end that I can have a positive impact, that is a really, really good place to be in. I think it makes payroll far more exciting than it used to be when I first joined the workforce.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, question number 2. If you had the power of foresight that could change the entire payroll industry with one action or improvement, what would that action or improvement be?
Oh, good example. Yeah, good question. I mean, it's linking to the research, but I genuinely think even if we hadn't done this research, it would be understanding. I've done a lot around financial well-being, and there's a lot about control and confidence. So when we talk about financial well-being, if you can get people to feel more in control of their finances and have more confidence dealing with their finances, better results will come, regardless of how much somebody earns or what their socioeconomic position is. And I think it's the same with pay. If we look at pay as an offshoot of finances and just one of the many different financial decisions and concepts we need to get our heads around, if you think about control and confidence, how do I give more control and confidence to somebody when it comes to their pay? It's going to be that if I put a pay slip in front of them, they see a tax code and they know it's right, and they know what a tax code is, and they see those deductions and that they're all correct. And again, it's not loads of complex information we're trying to get them to understand. It's just stuff that nobody gets taught anywhere else. And so I think the more we could do that, I think anything I've ever learned about pay before being part of the Zealous group was me Googling stuff, and it's just not a good way to learn information. And Google is now a very big place with a lot of misinformation and fake news and stuff. And so, my employer is the one I trust to tell me this information. And so I think I'd love to see more employers have done that many, many years ago, certainly when I grew up.
I know. So certainly in my case, I'm sure most people, I'm going to put it out there, probably done this. If you try and be Google doctor, right, as a good example.
Yeah, exactly.
We always look at the worst possible outcome, and actually it's very rarely is when you go and see the expert, which will be our GP, will hopefully put us at mind when there's something wrong going on. So it's a really good example. Last but not least, bit of fun. If payroll were a song or a movie, what song or movie would it be and why?
This is the first song that came to my head, but it's going to sound really cringe, but I'll say it anyway because I can't think of another one. Things Can Only Get Better.
Hey, great.
It sounds a little bit like a political campaign, but I genuinely believe it. All the work I've been doing with the Zealous group and the thought leadership that I've been driving, I genuinely believe that payroll is on this tipping point of becoming far, far more interesting to the business and far, far more interesting to the employee. I think the way we pay people in the future is going to change quite significantly. I think we will start to see pay becoming more important to employees. Not just getting pay, but how pay's function, what things come out of pay, deductions that are made. I've worked in the benefits world for a long time. It's some of the similarities we saw in the trajectory of the benefits world we're seeing in pay. And so I think for those people that really want to grasp it, and when I talked about this at the recent Zealous conference, lots of payroll people came up to me afterwards and said that they were excited, but they were also scared about what this future might look like, because it's a big change from people who work in a back office to something that might be a bit more employee facing. But for those people that want to grab that, I think it's exciting. And most things that are exciting are also a bit scary as well. So I do think for those who want to embrace it, it will get much, much better, and you'll become much more important to your organization. And that's better for each individual in their careers as well as the organization.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's a hugely exciting time for the world of payroll. Fear, of course, exists only in the mind. So let's embrace it. Let's be more strategic. Let's really get involved in improving that employee experience for everybody. And one piece of advice you would give to someone working in payroll right now?
One piece of advice. Look forward, don't look back. It is like you come, if you start like this work now, or if you've been here for a while, the space is, this business area is filled with preconceptions, with things that don't change, that haven't changed. Keep asking why.
Perfect. If you had the power of foresight and you could change the entire global payroll industry with one action or improvement, and I might know what this is, what action or improvement would that be?
Oh, wow. I would make it exactly the same across the world. All processes for payroll, social security, deductions. I would make it like one fell swoop, all the same across the world.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Makes everyone's lives a little bit easier. And last but not least, a bit of fun. If payroll was a song or a movie, and I know you've quoted a couple of movies during today's show as well, what song would it be, or movie would it be, and why? If
payroll was a movie or a song, oh my God, I have to pick a good one.
You've quoted two superheroes, I think, during the course of the episode. We had Iron Man, I think it was Spider-Man, I think was the second quote.
I would say Avengers Endgame. For the geeks that know it, the final battle is literally fighting everything at the same time, handling everything at the same time, trying to save the world and doing everything, against time passing. So I'd say some days it feels very much like it. You have to save the good guys, fight the evil ones, and put a smile on your face at the same time. So.
Amazing. We're going to open the vault, Kerry. Some quick, short questions with some short, sharp answers. One piece of advice you would give to someone working in payroll right now?
Always look up, never look down. Oh, nice. In terms of career and passion, but also have compassion for your colleagues.
Yeah. Fantastic. If you had the power of foresight and you could change the entire payroll industry with one action or one improvement, what would that action or improvement be?
Better teamwork. I don't know. It's a difficult one for me to answer, but that's why I need Kate Upcraft to help me out.
Well, Kate's been on the show twice now, bless her. So maybe we should combine the two and have another show. Last but not least, I know that we've had a few dances along the years, Kerry, at these different events. But if payroll were a song, what song would it be and why?
Shine by Take That.
There you go. Knocked it out the park. Oh, excellent.
Absolutely. Shine with your celebration arms, because I just think that payroll should be celebrated, and every payroll professional should shine and be proud of themselves in the profession, in their industry.